I'm going to go and start off with the Baltimore Ravens. And yes, we're talking about a team that is it's a top 10 team in this league, super duper talented, potential MVP Lamar Jackson. Um, but at the end of the day, for Sunday, the Baltimore Ravens beat themselves. And that's not a dig on the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they didn't score a touchdown. Chris Boswell ended up kicking 4,000 field goals and beating them. But also they committed 12 penalties, turned the ball over 3 times, missed 2 field goals, and botched a 2 point conversion. And again, in an 18-16 loss. Missed field goals by Justin Tucker, who the days as a great kicker looks like it's well behind him at this point. Drops by receivers, missed throws by Lamar Jackson, fumbles, too many penalties, and ridiculously unfortunate interception as already. This is now the third, yes, the third loss this season that fits this type of mold. Baltimore gave away their week 2 game to the Las Vegas team that couldn't protect the late and also couldn't protect a late lead in week 8 against the Cleveland Browns. So again, this is our third time that the Ravens have been beat by a piss poor team. And it's by beating themselves, doing things that fucks themselves up, doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And it's super out of character. They came into Sunday's game as the most penalized team and then committed another 12 against Pittsburgh. The pass defense has been, they've had busted coverages all year, giving up explosive plays all throughout the season. And Russell Wilson was allowed to do some of his, stupid ass moonshot balls that we've seen from Russell Wilson for feels like, yeah, a decade now. Exactly. And the Ravens loss dropped them all the way down to the 6 seed line and gives Pittsburgh a sole possession of first place in the AFC North by 1.5 games. The division race is obviously far from over for Baltimore. Pittsburgh has some really good teams to play. Eagles, Chiefs, and the Bengals twice left on their schedule. I don't care what the Bengals what their record says. Bengals are a good team. They always try to put up a fight. It's just that defense is dog shit, but you can't count Joey Burrow out. So again, division's far from over, but they beat themselves over and over and over again. They're going to have to hope that Pittsburgh drops some of those games to be able to get themselves back in the first place. Because if not, these bad performances with this many penalties and the drop passes and the interceptions, and it's going to end up coming in and biting them in the ass. Because as we know for Baltimore and Lamar Jackson, the playoff performances have been shaky. And you want to try to get the highest seed you can and get the most advantage you can because you have a lot of people to silence this postseason. If you can't do it because you faced Buffalo coming right out, that's on you because of this. So you guys go in the doghouse, at least just for this week.
I'll tell you what, if the Steelers keep doing what they're doing, then they got to rename the Coach of the Year award to the Mike Tomlin Coach of the Year award
Dude,
because
you don't
we were
lose.
criticizing the we were criticizing the shit out of that Russell Wilson switch at quarterback. Like this doesn't make any sense. You're winning. What are you doing?
Mhm.
Um, I don't I don't have a dog house this week. I have a dog motel because
Oh,
I'm just
shit.
checking a bunch of motherfuckers into rooms here.
All right, who's
We're gonna start, and none of these are super high key, but we're gonna start with Justin Tucker, who has been one of the greatest NFL kickers in the history of the NFL, and his fall from grace this year, he has not done well with. They asked him about his performance on Sunday, and he decided to blame the field conditions and the footing conditions and saying it wasn't an ideal playing surface and all this shit.
Mm.
That's just fine, my dog. But did you know that the Steelers kicker went like 6 for 6 on that same playing surface? How can you complain?
Yep.
Chris Boswell, he's got more fantasy points than Cooper Cup. And you're going to complain about the playing surface when he has an all time performance. Mr. Justin Tucker, please check yourself into room 1A. Let's continue on down the line. Room 1B. Mr. Evan McPherson, Bengals kicker, please check your dumb ass into room 1B. You got one damn job. Now, shout out to Jamar Chase. He just said some bullshit about the kicker in the after the game. He didn't decide to go try to choke him out on the sideline like Debo Samuel did last week. But you know what? Debo Samuel tried to choke out Jake Moody, and Jake Moody won the game, hit the game winner. Evan McPherson, he did not hit the game winner, just so everybody knows. So that's going to be room 1B. Now, we're going to continue on in room 1C. We're going to put in that piece of shit official that called back Nico Collins' 75-yard touchdown this week. He's been one of the best wide receivers in all of football. He injured. And on the first play, my dude comes out and is absolutely fantastic on the first play, and you're going to call that shit back. We already knew they were going to smash the Cowboys. You don't need to call that touchdown back. Like just let it go in. Okay. My only serious doghouse of the week, and I got more than I got more of these. Shout out to Brandon Aubrey, who's actually a really, really good kicker. The Texans defense is hella suspect. Cooper Kupp just had the best statistical season against them. That they just their defense looks hella suspect right now. I know Will Anderson was out, but I got that shit red flagged. I got CJ Stroud red flagged. I got all of that red flag. Congratulations, you beat a junior varsity team on Monday night. That doesn't mean anything to me. The Bengals front office, they're in the doghouse for not replacing their kicker, and they're in the doghouse for letting Joe Mixon walk in free agency. I don't want to hear shit about your scheme. I don't want to hear shit about Zach Moss. Joe Mixon has been the absolute truth. He's been a home run hitter every freaking game he's played in. I know he's had a couple of injuries or whatever, but you guys are going to sit here and tell me that, oh, Joe Mixon wasn't good for our scheme. Oh, Joe Mixon, he's not any good. Oh, Zach Moss is benched. Okay. And Joe Mixon is going off for the Houston Texans. And lastly, I got a couple of stats I want to read out to you if I can find them. There's a ton of them, so I should be. The Detroit Lions, really, really good team, have as many touchdowns in AT&T Stadium as the Cowboys do this year. Okay. The Saints have 6. That's more than the Cowboys do, but we don't really have to go too far into that. After last night's game, the Cowboys have trailed by at least 20 points in 6 straight home games. Okay. And if I pull up my text messages, I sent a text message to my cousin earlier, and it says, "You guys are the only team in pro sports in America, the only team that haven't won at home this year. NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL. What? You're the only team in professional American sports that haven't won at home? It's week 11. Shut the shades, Jerry. Sign a running back, Jerry.
Oh, man. That's great. I love that. Absolutely. Hey, I'm with you. I'm not even going to argue. I may have been, again, I represent, but we're fucking dog shit.
And you got Micah Parsons on his podcast today. We're actually a really good football team. Oh, really? Oh, really? Oh, really? You are? You're just throwing the coaches under the bus at that point. No, we're actually really great. It's just McCarthy's an idiot. Zimmer, that's got to be the worst hire. That's got to. You guys should call Joe Judge. You should call Jim Tom Sula. You should call
Mike Vrabel.
Who's the guy that got fired from the Jaguars because he went and partied one night?
Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer. You should call Urban Meyer. You should get anybody in there besides Mike Zimmer, because your defense is going that your defensive line goes that way. The corners go that way. Deron Bland's been healthy for like 3 weeks. He's like, fuck this. I don't want to play for this team. I'm going to sit it out. Trayvon Diggs is running a 6.4 40 right now. Like, he's slow as shit. And we got Micah Parsons over here in the corner causing scuffles or whatever. That dude's going to get $200 million a year, and he's done absolutely zero this entire season.
Yep. Hey,
I honestly, and the worst part is you can't fire your guys' biggest problem. The biggest problem for that team. So checking into the Doghouse Motel this week is going to be every Cowboys fan out there that continues to stand for Jerry Jones, because he's 117 years old. He's not fit to be a GM anymore. You must think you're crazy if you could do this job better than me. Oh, really? Oh, really? Because I'm watching Rico Dowdle every week, and he's not the answer. And I know that Zeke had 8 yards per carry last week, but it's because I have him 1 fucking carry and he went for 8 yards. And CeeDee Lamb looks like he just doesn't even give a shit. Mm-hmm. He just doesn't, like, he got paid, so he's done. He's joining Deshaun Watson's team. They got paid, so they're done. And then today it comes out that, hey, we're going to put in some packages for Trey Lance next week. That's going to be the answer, because You might as well put Trey Lance at running back. The only person on the team that's slower than him is Ezekiel Elliott, but put him in at running back because that'll solve all your guys' problems. No wins. Professional sports in the United States. That is just one hell of a stat. And by the way, that also counts MLS. I don't know if that's even a professional sport technically in the United States, Major League Soccer. But dude,
For the record,
take this shit off.
for the record, I'm not checking into the motel because I'm not a Jerry supporter. Just throwing it out there. I've gotten to the point where I play Call of Duty and listen to the game at the same time. I just this shit's in one ear, out the other. It is what it is. Again, you heard me at the beginning of the podcast. Hopefully, we keep losing. I want a top 10 draft pick. That's it. That's where I stand with that one.
Who has the worst situation in the NFL right now? Is it the Cowboys or the Jags? Because we raise our hand, do we still all believe in Dak Prescott? I do.
Mhm.
I just saw him an MVP last year.
Mhm.
You don't just that doesn't evaporate.
Mhm.
Micah's good, right? Like CeeDee Lamb's still a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL talent wise. Like the Jags, I don't know what T-Law is, but dude, like Jerry needs to blow it up. And if your guys' answer is, I keep seeing this, and when there's smoke, there's fire. If you think the answer is that you're going to sign Prime to be your head coach, I'm telling you right now, that is not the answer. Because then you got to go get a top flight defensive coordinator, and you got to go get a top flight offensive coordinator.
Yep.
And we don't need pom head coaches in the NFL anymore. It just doesn't work.
I'm with you.
So, terrible, terrible situation for the Cowboys.
All right, that was our doghouse of the week. Let's go ahead and move on and get out of here.